Another explosive claim about the Perth Mint.
Senator Dorinda Cox says she has evidence the Mint is holding gold that belongs to bikie gangs, Russian oligarchs and terrorists. Cox dropped the bombshell during a Senate Select Committee hearing that was convened to get to the bottom of the Perth Mint scandal, which, depending on who you speak to, is either a major threat to West Australia's sovereign risk profile.
The Perth Mint has perhaps really not understood the business that it's playing in when it comes to dealing with people offshore.
Or a storm in a fucking teacup. Cox was grilling federal bureaucrats about the Mint's compliance protocols when she said she would produce evidence that an institution every West Australian student has been to on a school excursion is in fact one of the world's most prolific enablers of crime.
Big call.
Yeah, that's exactly what fellow committee member Glenn Sterle said. Glenn politely told Dorinda to put up or shut up. Dorinda picked up what Glenn threw down, vowing to produce the docos that backed her claim that drug syndicates, dodgy Russians and outlaw motorcycle gangs and their associates were housing their ill-gotten gains in the Mint's vault. There's $6 billion worth of precious metals sitting in that vault, and if Cox is right, a big chunk belongs to people like this.
What would criminals from around the world want with Perth Mint?
The first question that needs to be asked is, why do criminals
love gold?
First, it's hard to trace. Greenbacks have serial numbers. If the FBI finds you with a bunch of Benjamin Franklins, there's a chance, usually small but still there, they'll be able to trace where the money came from. Not the case with gold, because you can melt it and turn it into anything you want. That also means you can move it around the world easily, which is the second reason crims love it.
Absolutely.
Roll up to any airport in any country with $250,000 in cash and customs is going to ask you some questions.
Exactly.
Roll up with $250,000 hanging around your neck and you'll be waved right through. The third reason, gold's easy to convert to cash as and when you want to, because there's gold exchanges in every street market in every city in the world.
Okay, that explains the gold, but why Perth?
There are plenty of mints and plenty of secure vaults, good point, but none of them come with a government guarantee.
They're renowned worldwide, so you can sell their gold overseas, plus they're underwritten by the government. State government pretty much own the mint.
The Perth Mint has the legislated backing of the government of Western Australia. Every transaction is guaranteed by Rog and Rita. Criminals know more than anyone else there's always a chance you're going to get ripped off or robbed, and that's the reason they want to do business here. We take the risk out of international criminal transactions.
It's nice to feel needed.
If Dorinda comes through with the goods, the Mint's going to have to lawyer up.
Oh yeah, fortunately for the execs in charge, there's an easy-to-read guide about who to contact. A company called Doyle's does an annual review of the best lawyers in Australia, and they've just released their latest who's who of local criminal lawyers.
Doyle rules.
There are thousands of wannabes out there, but only 19 names on the list.
Better call Saul.
What's the criteria?
It's based on a vote by other councils. So these are the people that criminal lawyers would call if they found themselves in trouble with a 5-0.
Your Honour, it's me, Ray.
Doyle's has divided the list into 3 categories: recommended, leading, and preeminent.
Few familiar names on there.
They're not listed in order of rank and we won't go through all of them, but some of these people have been in very high-profile courtroom dramas. David Manera lawyered for the bloke who killed Nick Martin, who we still can't name even though he's running around Casuarina telling everyone who he is. Manera also represents Richmond footy player Marlon Pickett, who's accused of being involved in a string of commercial burglaries that netted $380,000. And he's also been hired by Nev
Get to the chopper!
Power. He of cognitive distortion made me fly my helicopter across Australia in breach of pandemic protocols fame. Mike Perella represented another COVID cockhead, the guy who had that secret but not so secret lockdown party at the George. And he's fronted court on behalf of former Finks gang member Tristan Albury, a bloke who proved bikies do occasionally break the code of silence when he told the Triple C to
get off
a dozen times when he was in the agency's star chamber.
Quite the wordsmith.
Yeah. Seamus Rafferty is the go-to lawyer for Catholic priests accused of pedophilia. Needless to say, Seamus is a very busy chap, but he's found time to represent boxing bad boy Craig, the Leaderville butcher Christian, along with Fremantle vice-captain Caleb Sarong and full-on West Coast star Daniel Kerr. Moronic footy players are also a lucrative source of revenue for Abigail Rogers. She represented ex-AFL player Brennan Stack, the gentleman who did this, and also West Perth's Rudy Riddick, who was jailed for beating his wife. Jeremy Scudds knows a bit about the rules of Fight Club.
You do not talk about Fight Club.
He's acted for former champion boxer Jeremy Van Diemen and Kung Fu champ Graham Samuel Downey. Ken Bates makes a living trying to free criminals now, but he used to put them away. He was so good at his job as a prosecutor, it didn't even matter if you'd done the crime. Clint Hampson got Scott Ostick out of jail for murder. The former cop did that after working out how the great disappearing, reappearing cigarette packet trick worked. And to round them out, Uplate stalwart Paul Holmes acts as Troy McCanty's fashion advisor, in between representing him every time gang crime charges him with breaching anti-bikie laws, which seems to happen every 3 days.
So hot right now.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more Uplate, click the subscribe button below.